the Ukrainian president. Now, U.S. President says that India would no longer be buying Russian oil, asserting that New Delhi has already reduced imports, while reiterating his plan to end the Ukraine war through diplomacy and tariffs. This is a claim that has been rejected on part of India already, but as far as Donald Trump is concerned, with this recent meeting that he had with his Ukrainian counterpart, seems to be repeating his claim.
Well, India is not going to be buying Russian oil anymore. And Hungary is sort of stuck because they have one pipeline. It's been there for years and years and years, and they're inland. They don't have sea. They don't have sea. And I spoke with the very great leader of Hungary, and they are, it's very hard for them to get oil. I understand it. Hungary's in a very interesting position because they can't have ports. They're surrounded by land. So we'll see what happens there. But India will not be buying oil from Russia. And, they've already de-escalated, and they've more or less stopped. They're pulling back. They bought about 38% of the oil, and they won't be doing it anymore.
Well, let's connect with Srinjoy now. Srinjoy, good morning. How do we see this as far as India Oil Directory has, rejected the statement made by President Trump, also saying that there has been no conversation that happened between the two leaders? Why is Donald Trump repeating a point which India has rejected?
Well, that's President Trump for you, because President Trump often says lots of things, and he changes his mind about them the next day. So today or last night, he has spoken about the fact that India will not be buying Russian oil. But how he knows that, why he's saying this, is very hard to explain. How do you explain someone who finds it difficult to explain himself? Because tomorrow, President Trump can well say India is still buying Russian oil, and we are slapping more tariffs on India. So this is something the world will have to live with for the next 3 years.
All right, we're going to play again exactly when it comes to this claim that has been repeated by Donald Trump, as he seems to claim that India has decided to stop buying Russian oil, and he's made this claim with this recent meeting that he had with the Ukrainian President Zelenskyy, as far as Russia-India oil trade remains in focus.
Well, India is not going to be buying Russian oil anymore. And Hungary is sort of stuck because they have one pipeline. It's been there for years and years and years, and they're inland. They don't have sea. They don't have sea. And I spoke with the very great leader of Hungary, and they are, it's very hard for them to get oil. I understand it. Hungary's in a very interesting position because they can't have ports. They're surrounded by land. So we'll see what happens there. But India will not be buying oil from Russia. And they've already de-escalated, and they've more or less stopped. They're pulling back. They bought about 38% of the oil, and they won't be doing it anymore.
Well, let's put out as far as the India perspective is concerned, because India has fact-checked the President of the United States, as far as he continuously has been making claims that India has strongly now issued a response following Donald Trump's repeated claims, with the Ministry of External Affairs reiterating that safeguarding Indian interests, the Indian consumer interest, remains top priority. And when it comes to energy sourcing, the ME has clarified that India follows a nation-first energy policy guided by the need to ensure stable and affordable energy prices for its citizens. The MEA has also underlined that India's import decisions are based on national objectives and not on any external pressures, reaffirming that the country will continue to act in the line with its strategic and economic interest, and also adding that no conversation happened between President Trump and also Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Well, Srinjoy, India fact-checking Donald Trump.
Yes, not only that, the fact is India is buying the Russian oil because oil prices are high, still very high, and India can buy Russian oil at a cheaper price. Now, India has an economy where the per capita income of an average Indian, is about $3,000 something dollars, $4,000. America's is about $80,000. So the per capita income of an Indian in dollar terms is $4,000, while the Americans is $80,000. So as a result, India needs this oil. India needs oil for its people. And this is something India cannot go back on, because if India buys more expensive oil, it hurts the Indian economy. The other point is, Donald Trump had said he would end the war in a day after becoming president. At this point, he has been president for about 9 months. And when the war between Russia and Ukraine ends, oil prices would certainly come down. And that would be a good time to buy any oil from anywhere in the world, not just Russian oil.
All right, because India and United States continue to differ publicly as over Russian oil purchase, as President Trump says that he's been assured by Prime Minister Narendra Modi that India will stop buying Russian oil, while the Ministry of External Affairs maintained that the two leaders have not spoken about this issue.